Mallory Park, the mile oval, the spiritual home of the Eurocar V8s. The 500 brake horsepower beast will tackle their longest race distance yet with a 64-lapper, separated by just one 6-minute stop at the halfway point. It's going to be quite something. Back in May at Brands, and after a gruelling 29 laps, it came down to two men. Barry Lee in one and Kevin Clark in silver 4. In the pit lane, Clark's crew could barely watch. Well, Dave Lodge just breathing heavily there. They can't believe it, can they? Just one lap to go. Here they go. This is it. Do or die, Tony.
Yeah, do or die, and there's the man that's always going to be there, Barry Lee. It'll be do or die, okay.
Well, here they come, down into the Graham Hill Bend, the newly configured area, on the brakes. Kevin Clark hits the apex, doesn't run out wide. That could have been an opportunity for Barry Lee, and Barry Lee is quicker out of there. Barry Lee right in his wheel track. Kevin Clark trying to hold the position through 30s. He's right on his rear bumper. He's later on the brakes, is Barry Lee. You see the brake lights come on. Barry Lee going for the inside this time. They touch each other through clearways. Kevin Clark held that like brilliantly in the pit lane. They can't believe it. They can't see them at the moment. Here we go to the finish line, and Kevin Clark picks up £10,000. Oh,
Fantastic.
Conditions today very different to that sunny day in Kenton as the VIPs waddle to hospitality. Peter Hughes is with the main contenders in the pit lane.
Well, we didn't actually order rain, so I don't know where that's come from. Maybe Barry Lee ordered it.
Yeah, I'm always hungry for victory. What we mustn't forget on this race, it's not just the ultimate prize for winning the 100 here. You've got the first race for 200 points and then also the second race for 200 points. I made a real pig's ear of it in qualifying because we went out with hard setting and slick tyres, and just before I went out on my time, and I was second from last, down came the rain and I was slipping and sliding everywhere, and something like 6.5 seconds off of a pole time. Kevin had enough time to put the wets on, so he's right at the front and I'm right at the back. But 32 laps in the first race is, I think, is long enough. As long as I'm up in the top 3 to go out in the second one, I'll be very happy.
Does the strategy differ from the first half to the second half?
Yeah, very much so. Basically, I should be running it like I used to run the Hot Rod World Finals. We used to do 30-lap finals normally, and then there were 75 laps for the World Final. So basically, I shall treat it wherever I am. With 15 laps to go here, I shall suddenly think, okay, now this is the last race, so I'm going to try. Sorry, I'm starting my last race, and actually I'm 2/3 into the big main race. That's when I shall pick up the pace of the car. I hope I can look after the tyres and the brakes, and also it's something like 45 minutes that I wouldn't have had a cigarette. So basically, that's the main thing that I'm being concerned about.
You start at the front of the field, but 100 kilometres is a long way. What's the plan?
That's right, it's going to be a long race, and you're going to have to be very careful regarding, you know, not contacting with other cars, you know, whether it be somebody sliding into you or whatever, but it's a long race, so don't do anything mad at the beginning, you know, just keep it together and hopefully be there at the end.
You won the last feature event, of course, the Brands Hatch Shootout. Can you win this feature event?
I would like to think I've got a chance, and I shall be giving it my best shot, but we've also got to, you know, be there at the end, so just got to keep it together.
And if it's not you, then who?
Well, Mark Willis is going well. He's got to be in with a fair shout. Barry Lee's always going well, so he's in with a fair shout. Chris Dawkins is going to be going well. And the grid isn't that important, your starting position, because it's such a long race. It is going to be possible to come through from the back. So it's wide open, really. Anybody could win this race.
From a driver's point of view, what's the appeal of a longer race?
I'll tell you after 64 laps, right now there isn't any appeal at all. I think what a lot of people have to appreciate is driving around this oval. You know, when I came into oval track racing, I thought you just went around in circles. It's exceptionally physical. And the 15 or 16 laps we did this morning, I started to feel, so I dread to think what I'm going to feel like after sort of 64.
You're fourth on the grid. The track is now drying, though. What's your plan for the race?
Well, I think we'll be quicker in the dry. We've suffered, you know, when we came out at the beginning of the year, we were right on the pace. We were up there in the top 3. My crew have worked very hard in the car. We had a performance drop-off, which we weren't really sure. Being the first year for all of us, we weren't really sure where to look for this thing. And we've now established where that problem was. We've had some assistance from John Tuvey on the engine. And I got to tell you, the car this morning in the dry felt really good. In the wet, it felt great. So I'm looking forward to the race, I must admit.
And is a win a realistic prospect?
you know, you can never rule out a win, especially over 64 laps. I think the object here has got to be is if you're there and you're within half a second of pole, which we are, then I'd say you've got about just about chance, better, you know, just as good a chance of winning as the guys on pole. It's 64 laps. I think the important thing is to be in the lead on lap 64.
I'm looking forward to it. You know, the car's absolutely superb. The only thing that's concerning at the moment is the weather, whether it's going to be wet or dry. I mean, it's going to be a big factor in the race, so we're going to have to try and make a decision.
How does the strategy for this race differ from a normal Eurocar race?
I think you just got to buckle down, realise that there is a lot of time out there to do it. You know, you haven't got to win it in the first 5 laps. With the big races, it's good you can get into it and relax a little bit. Like I say, it's just going to be the weather, really, isn't it?
What's most important for you today, to win the race or to come away with some points?
Oh, we'll be out there winning. We want to win it, mate. We want to win it to get a bit of coverage and that. It'd be great. I mean, we're struggling at the moment with the finances and that, but we're still here and we're picking on. All the rest of the team have been absolutely superb. So sponsors have been great, and they're the people that's got us here. So fingers crossed. Let's hope it's a good day.
Chris, you're the only man to beat Kevin Clark in recent weeks. How confident are you that you can do that over 64 laps today?
Fitness-wise, reliability-wise, I don't think it'd be too much of a problem. We still had problems at Brands and Lyddon with the prop shaft and exhaust, but we've sorted that. But we had so many problems at the beginning of the year that we changed so much in the car. We've gradually, you know, sort of got to go back to square one now, start again. To be honest, today it hasn't been too good so far, but we're hoping that obviously if I can get jumping on the start and hold him back, and then yeah, we should beat him. I have to beat him in both races to stand any chance of catching him back up again.
What about temperament-wise? Are you confident? You can pace yourself, remind yourself it is a long race?
Yes, I think the thing is with the Eurocars, it's very heated when you're racing anyway, and sometimes you forget how many laps you're doing. It's only when you're on your own that you realise, normally here you say you do 20, 22 laps. I can imagine you're looking at the laps to go, but with 10 laps to go, I think, oh, you know, more to do. But no, I'm fairly confident. Just get on with it. I mean, if it's a close race, it'll go quickly.
100-kilometre race, the first one of its kind for Eurocar. What's this team strategy?
Well, basically, it's up to Kevin to just take it very steady. I think this race you're going to be nice and calm, don't push it too much, and just see how you get on from there. As you say, this race has never been done before with Eurocar, so it's new to everybody. But basically just take it nice and steady and don't push from the start.
The pit crew also has an important role today. What have you been saying to them?
Well, that's right. I mean, we've got, I think, at the maximum from the time the car comes in till it goes out is 10 minutes, so everybody has got a specific job to do, and that's it. There isn't a great deal of time to do much more to the car. Just basically check it over, fuel it, and that's it.
Looking back just a few weeks, Brands Hatch, terrific win in the £10,000 shootout. Has everyone's feet come back down to the ground now?
I think so, yeah, but it was nice, it was good. Yeah, the team worked really hard to win it. Yeah, it was excellent result for us. Let's hope we can do it today.
Well, can he do it today? I suspect the challenge will come from this man, Chris Dawkins, or Buzz Dawkins as he's now known. He's on the outside of the front row, but there is Kevin Clark, Dave Law's man, on the pole position after a superb qualifying this morning. Peter Faulding on the inside of row 2, and the Yorkshire man really up for it, as is South African Mike Schmidt. Well, we'll see what they can do after the break. Park, the Max Power 100-kilometre race about to get underway, and there on the front row in 22. Buzz Dawkins on the inside of him, Kevin Clark, but as the drivers were saying earlier today, the weather is the real challenge. The lights on the pace car are off, it pulls into the pit lane, and we're about to get this 100-kilometre race, 64 laps of the Mallory Mile Oval underway, and the flag is aloft, and it gets a great start. Kevin Clark's got it off the line superbly well. Buzz Dawkins on the wide outside. Look at the spray, and the difficult conditions are really going to be a factor. Pete Faulding's got it off the line well, so too has Mike Schmidt in 5, and alongside me, former V8 racer Tony Gale. Tony, tough conditions here today.
Very tough conditions, Paul, and Kevin certainly needed to stamp his authority on that start, because it's going to be difficult for anybody to pass anybody from here on in.
Well, certainly Clark has got the clearest view at the moment. Just look at that spray being kicked up into the drivers behind. And Tony, how much can you physically see out to the car when you're back there as Alfora is in 4th or 5th place?
Well, nothing, Paul. You just got to try and find position on the track, feel where you are, and wait for the brake lights to come on.
Well, the lights are all on. You can see those fog lights are on. That's a mandatory requirement in conditions like this. But with 1 lap complete, and it is a long race, I'm sure that patience will be the key, and particularly for Buzz Dawkins there in 2nd place. We know he's got a real fiery temperament inside that car. Do you think he's got the patience to do the job.
Well, you've got the two guys up the front. You've got the most fiery temperament, most competitive guys out there at the moment, I feel. But they know what they're doing. These guys, they've been testing. They know what to do.
Well, on the mile oval here at Mallory, they're normally approaching speeds over 100 miles an hour. There is Peter Medley. Great to see Pete Medley back. He's not done every championship round so far this year, but great to have him back on the mile oval, a circuit that he knows and loves. So let's recap where we are. Clark leads. There is Dawkins in second, and already those leading two starting to pull out a gap. Back in sixth place is Mark Willis. Seventh is Peter Medley, and Barry Lee back in eighth. A really bad tyre choice for him this morning and setup choice, Tony, in qualifying, and that's really paid the consequences here now.
Oh yes, it was. I mean, Barry's very, very good in the wet, and he's very, very good anywhere. But it just shows you how soon you can open up a gap at the front if you don't get a good grid position for the morning.
Well, he hasn't got that good grid position, and that is completely the reverse for Kevin Clark, who leads them across the lines. They complete another lap. Alfora scrapping away there, really nibbling away at the back end of Pete Balding's cars. They disappear into the spray. Just, Tony, it must be like driving down the motorway at 180 miles an hour with just absolutely no vision whatsoever. Just try and give us a description as to what it's like behind the wheel of these cars.
Paul, if you've ever passed a truck on the motorway and you spray and you're wondering whether to pass or not because you can't see past the truck, that's exactly what it's like being in the middle of that, and really trusting the drivers that they're going to be on a similar line. It's okay if you're up the sharp end, but you know, coming down the straight, you're doing about 150 still, and slightly slower in the corners, obviously, but the spray is a big factor.
Well, we see the wiggle there from Mark Willis in the 65 car, the Tapco car. Here comes Clark. He's still the leader. 22 there is Buzz Dawkins in second. The gap extending now back to Pete Balding, Mike Schmidt and Al Fora, third, fourth and fifth, respectively. And Al certainly seems to have got to grips now with the V8, having made the transition up from the smaller V6s.
Yeah, well, Al's going very well. I was talking to him this morning, and I mean, he had a really good qualifying. The car was well set up for the dry, and of course, then suddenly everybody's plans go out the window as soon as it decides to tip down.
Well, at the moment, looking back to see where Pete Balding is. This is a great scrap for third place. That is Balding, Schmidt and Bora. Look at Al Bora urging Mike Schmidt to get a move on. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there from Mike Schmidt. Balding, though, is, I suspect, holding them up. Pete Balding isn't the best in the wet, is he? Whereas Clark, he's got the clear view, but also he's a masterful craftsman at the wheel of these V8s now.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's like breathing for Kevin. You know, just adapts himself to whatever the conditions are. But I feel that Alf is putting Schmidt under pressure simply because he can see Mark Willis on the go.
Yeah, Mark Willis is certainly closing in. You're absolutely right, Tony. That is Mike Schmidt, and he stepped up from V6 power. The V6s run a 2.9-litre engine, chucking out about 230 brake horsepower. These beasts, 5.8-litre Ford racing engines, and they're chucking out something around about the region of 500 brake horses. That's a heck of a lot of power to get down on the track through control racing tyres. They all run the same racing tyre, but they do have the option of a wet tread. And of course, in these conditions, absolutely everybody out there on the wets.
Essential, essential. I mean, these cars are a handful in the dry. Never mind the wet, and it's all about being smooth and backing off that throttle slightly.
Well, let's see how Pete Balding can cope with the pressure behind him from Mike Schmidt in the black and white car there. Behind him is Al Fora. There is Mark Willis. Mark lying third in the championship, and the championship, even though we're at the approaching the halfway point of the season with 6 rounds complete, Mark Willis is certainly one of 3 drivers, along with Barry Lee and Kevin Clark, who could take the honours overall in the championship. Was a real scary moment there for Mike Schmidt, and Al Fora trying to seize the opportunity going down the inside as they come to turn 1. I don't think he was quite close enough though. Clark still leads, Dawkins second.
Yeah, I was just noticing that Mark Willis there was taking a totally different line. Here we go. He's I don't believe he's going to go and try for the outside, but sometimes when the track starts to dry slightly, it gets very, very greasy, and you're better off being in the real wet stuff.
Well,
here he
trying
comes.
to go around the outside. It's a brave manoeuvre around the outside, and Gerrards, he's made it work as well. Unbelievable stuff from Mark Willis, right the way around the outside of Al Fora. Fora must have shot. He's going to do Mike Schmidt as well as he might do the pair of them. The track there really tightens up, doesn't it, Tony, on the exit of Gerrards, that turn 4, but a brilliant manoeuvre nevertheless by Mark Willis.
Very brave, very brave. You know, you're going to be 50-50, but Mark's the guy that likes to get out there on the outside, so he knows that his car he must be feeling very, very comfortable in the car to even attempt that move.
Is that the difference? If you've got the confidence in the car, you're prepared to go where perhaps others fear to tread?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's critical. These cars, you know, you're slightly out of shape. All you're doing is having a workout in them every time just to keep them pointing the right way. But a well set up car, then obviously your confidence is there. And as you can see with Mark Willis, he's certainly got that.
Unbelievable stuff. Mark Willis, well, these other guys must be wondering what the heck he's got on those tyres. Brilliant stuff from Mark Willis. Round the outside of Mike Schmidt, so he goes from sixth position, takes Alfora's position away from him, and up now past Mike Schmidt, round the outside of Peter Folding. These two will be side by side through turns 1 and 2. Well, there is more grip on the outside there, I'm told, because the track isn't as polished. He's made it work again, or has he? Folding fights back on the inside. Willis on the outside in the blue car. Well, Pete Folding using all his Formula 1 stock car antics to try and keep on the inside track, but we've got already, the back end steps out there from Willis. How awesome is that? Willis round the outside, going from 6th place up to 3rd.
Unbelievable, Paul, unbelievable. I mean, I'd love to have been able to do that in my time when I was out there. I mean, I was fairly good in the wet myself, as I thought, but I don't think I ever attempted that.
Well, you called it, Tony. You said he was awesome in the wet, and he certainly was there round the outside. He's now got to challenge these two drivers. Remember, further back in the pack, Mike Schmidt, I beg your pardon, trying to reel in Peter Folding, and that leaves a gap out for Alfora in the team brass car, and Bora goes to the inside. I'm not quite sure he's close enough to mount the challenge, but he might just squeeze through there. They're going to be side by side in turn 3. Oh, and Schmidt saw him very, very late, and all credit to Mike Schmidt. He backed off there, but that's going to cost him, I think, his position.
Yeah, I mean, Mike's been fighting for the last God knows how many laps, but he's managed to do it now.
Well, we thought there for a moment that Mike Schmidt was going to lose the place to Alfora, but in fact, he's come round the outside, and he might just find himself up behind Mark Willis now. The two leaders, there is Mark Willis, and in fact, he's done that, and with the help of Warren Kent, the back marker in the 8 car there, Alfora just can't seem to find a way past Peter Folding, but no doubt he's pacing himself, realises that patience is the key for this, so all change, mind the doors type of thing. Kevin Clark still leading. Chris Dawkins in 22 is back in 2nd place. Barry Lee still there in number 1, trying to pick his way through, but we heard him say earlier on that his real message was that it's a patient race. This 64 laps is an awful long way. Traditionally, you do 20 to 25 laps in a normal Eurocar V8 race here at Mallory Park, but Lee said he would pace himself, and of course he's the one with all his previous World Hot Rod Championship final races where they did 75 laps on occasions. He really has got the patience, Barry Lee.
Oh, without a doubt, Barry. The strategy with Barry has always been one of his key points. I mean, he will fight for the last 10 points. You know, he'll just keep going and fight for that last 10 points. But he'll be there and thereabouts.
Well, at the moment, let's hope that his setup's working for him. We're focusing on the battle for 4th place, which has now been joined by, indeed, Peter Medley there in 33, and Barry Lee behind him. So Lee has used that patience. Oh, and a big sideways moment there for Buzz Dawkins, balancing the car on the throttle. And how much time have you got, Tony, to correct from those incidents where the back end wants to catch the front end?
You do it. It just comes as a natural reaction, Paul. You just feel the car through your backside, and you know what it's doing. And but of course, while you're sideways, you're not going forwards.
Well, that was the case there for Peter Folding as he came out of turn 2. Folding then really embroiled in this four-way battle.
Got Medley.
Absolutely, on the outside. Pete Medley, I mean, he's not got as much track time this year by any stretch of the imagination. He's found the grip on the outside. He's going to go for 4th place. This is a super drive by Peter Medley. Can he just hang on in there? Well, it's tough over the hump that goes into turn 1. They disappear into the spray and mist. Up front, though, Clark and Dawkins, look at the lead. They've got almost the whole. In fact, they have got all of the whole of the backstretch. And Peter Medley has made it stick round the outside. Oh, Medley is really on it.
I was talking to him this morning. He's always keen. Ever since Castle Coombe of last year, where he had a fantastic race and really picked up the pace, it's just given him so much confidence.
Yeah, and that confidence is really oozing through. And there's a great spirit around the family as well. Faye's here as well, watching on, his wife, and at the moment he's pulling out, and it looks like Alfora's finally made the move round Peter Folding. So Folding dropping back. Folding, of course, who was 3rd in the Eurocar V8 shootout, that £10,000 shootout. Bit of a wave out the window there from somebody.
Mr. Medley, I think.
Yeah, do you think he was not best pleased, or was he waving saying thank you very much, Peter?
I think he was probably waving to his adoring fans in the pit lane.
And that's probably it for Meadows, yeah. So Peter Medley then up into that fifth position. The race order at the moment, as these lot are battling it out for fifth place. Remember, Kevin Clark and Buzz Dawkins are first and second respectively. In third place, a lone third place, I can tell you, is Mark Willis. Behind him is Mike Schmidt, who really has stretched his leg since he found his way past Peter Folding. Here goes Al Forer again round the outside, trying to squeeze past and realising perhaps that, ooh, he only just caught that.
He was well caught there. I think Alf realised that Alf was pacing himself there for the initial laps, I think, because he knew it's a long way to go, but he knows now that he has to make the move.
Well, presumably as well, the thing is that generally we find that tyres brakes with the hot conditions that we normally have in a summer. I suppose it's a typical summer's day, some would say, here at Mallory Park today. But normally, Tony, the tyres and brakes would come under particular pressure, wouldn't they? And surely these conditions will help that, and it won't become such a race of attrition.
Well, it's critical. Alf was very, very quick this morning, and he knows this track very well. The thing is, I was wondering whether he was just trying to save his brakes, save his tyres, but it comes to a point where you really then got to start moving, because you'll just get swallowed, be left.
Yeah, as we heard before, there are 200 points on offer for a race win, 175 for second, which is where Buzz Dawkins is at the moment, but as he was saying this morning, he needs desperately to get a win. He's languishing back in fifth place in the championship table, and he's almost 800 points off the leader, Kevin Clark. Kevin Clark holds the championship lead with 1,950 points. It sounds like a lot of points, but in the same way as with NASCAR, they get 200 points for a win, 175 for second, then 155 for third, and then it's 140, 130, 120, all the way down through the field, dropping down in multiples of 10 points. Well, there is the third place man flashing through, Mark Willis. Mike Schmidt also going through. We look back to pick up the fifth place man. That's still Peter Medley. Al Forer behind him. And interesting to see Al Forer there in the number 2 car ahead of Barry Lee in the number 1 car. When Eurocar first started with those what now seem like smaller V6s, these two of course were teammates and had some right old battles.
Well, it certainly did. Of course, early days there wasn't quite as many cars. There was only 10 cars when I first came out in August of '94, and they used to have some great scraps, and I used to just tag on the back of them and learn a bit,
And learn you did. Well, the blue flag being waved there, that's to warn the slower car of Warren Kent. Warren, it's his first season in Eurocar V8. This, of course, the scene of his massive accident in the opening round here at Mallory, where we all but destroyed the chassis of the car. And other than for the strength of the Eurocar V8 built by Sonny Howard, he could have suffered some very nasty injuries. But we've seen some very big accidents and incidents in V8 racing, and testimony to the 100 metres of tubing that goes into these cars, and something like 300 welds to tack it all together. Every incident we've had, touch wood, has seen the drivers emerge unscathed and unharmed, albeit they might get a bit of a rattling round in there, Tony?
Oh, you do. I've had 1 or 2 episodes myself, excursions off the track in the V8, and you've got to say, after Warren's accident last year, that was a horrendous shunt, and all credit to the guys up at SHB there in Ely.
Well, there is Barry Lee nibbling away at the rear end of Al Forer's number 2 car, and well, Barry said he would be patient, and certainly that's what he's doing at the moment. Chris Dawkins just negotiating Warren Kent, who we were just talking about, in that number 8 car, and well, he did a great job to rebuild that machine after the accident back in April. But Buzz Dawkins, is he waiting the move? You can see him soaring away there at the wheel, trying to keep the line, and it is drying out, but as I think you mentioned earlier on, Tony, it becomes very, very greasy and quite treacherous there.
But what it does to the tyres is it takes the very sharp edges off them, and they don't become as effective as they were. So you're much better off being in the real wet stuff. You see where Chris has gone out there now, and it also has a cooling effect on the tyres. But I feel that Chris is getting a little bit frustrated now, because Kevin's starting to stretch him a bit, and I've got to say, Kevin's driven this superbly.
Really has. He's a different man this year, isn't he? Totally. His attitude and the whole approach from the team, as we watch Mike Schmidt going through in 4th place, and Mike's working away at the wheel as well. A bit of a challenge for him, but Mark Miller and Warren Kent, 2 of the back markers. Mike Schmidt coming up on them now, and here comes this great titanic struggle going on between Peter Medley in the blue car, Al Forer in yellow, and the blue machine of the number 1 car, Barry Lee. All the drivers, of course, keep their own numbers, and it really does help us to keep track of where they all are. Pete Medley's windscreen wiper not working there. Well, do we suspect that that's because it's got a problem, or perhaps that he just feels he doesn't need it at the moment? The rain has stopped, but you can see there is still a bit of spray.
No, you'd still need that windscreen wiper. I would imagine that's going to cause him some problems. It must affect the vision.
There was still a lot of spray hanging around, isn't there? Mike Schmidt there going through onto the back straight and approaching, even in these conditions, what, 130, 135 miles an hour?
Yeah, you're not far off. Obviously, you're not coming off the corner as quickly as you would normally in the wet. So, yeah, you're still doing 135 to 140 mile an hour, and you peak out at the end of the straight.
Well, if you relate that to how it feels driving on the motorway at 75, 70 miles an hour, then my goodness me, these drivers really have got it all together. But I'm most impressed by Mark Willis, who, having made those early moves and got out onto the what is traditionally the wet line, that is the outside of the circuit. Here comes Mike Schmidt behind him in 4th place. But it's this 5th place battle behind that's really going, and Alfora's finally done it. Oh, Peter Medley, he worked so hard to get through into that 5th place, but a slight error. He got on the outside into turn 1, and that's allowed both Alfora and Barry Lee to come on through.
Yeah, I noticed that Barry's windscreen wiper isn't working either, so that will cause him problems.
Well, yeah, and of course, it looks as well, as you mentioned that, it's very, very nifty. Oh, Medley's lost it! Peter Medley's going to be in the tyre wall. Oh, what a disaster for Peter Medley after so much hard work. Well, you have to feel that he lost those couple of places, and as a consequence of that, was perhaps just pushing a little bit too hard.
He's out, he's okay, yeah. I think, you know, maybe just slight lapse of concentration. If you do that in the wet, you know, that's exactly what will happen. I mean, there was no, that was straight in, you know, that another example of how strong the cars are.
Well, Peter Folding there, the other Peter in this race, is still out there. So that will promote with Kevin Clark leading and Buzz Dawkins in 2nd place. That will promote Alfora and Barry Lee up the order. So too Peter Folding and everybody else behind. That's a bit of disappointment for Peter Medley, and that car suffering a real front-end shunt. He's probably across the grass there, still travelling at 50, 60 miles an hour at the point of contact. And, well, I wonder if he maybe just aquaplaned off. The yellow flag held aloft there by the marshal, indicating what the incident was. And again, the blue flag being shown. Kevin Clark completes another lap, getting into the closing stages now of this first part of the Max Power 100. They'll come in shortly for a tyre stop, or rather a fueling stop, and any attention that they can give to the cars. A special area set aside here for that at Mallory, and they will be controlled very carefully with that. But it looks as though Kevin Clark will be on his way to 200 points, and that's going to be hugely valuable for him in terms of championship, to say nothing of the honour and prestige of winning Eurocar's longest ever race. Here comes Clarkie then, off turn 4 towards the start-finish line. Buzz Dawkins in the wheel tracks right behind him. And there is Peter Medley on the sidelines. Well, he looks okay, Tom.
Yeah, he's okay.
2 laps to go then. In fact, 1 lap to go as they cross the line this time. 1 lap to be completed in this first part of the Max Power 100. Great crowd here considering the conditions. A lot of people from Mallory here you can watch from the comfort of your car, and despite the fact that the rain has rejoined us just a couple of minutes ago, a lot of people standing out around the circuit. Well, Buzz Dawkins looks as though he's got to settle the 2nd place. It's been a very controlled and mature drive, though, by this man, Kevin Clark.
Oh, absolutely, Paul, absolutely. But then again, so is Chris. I mean, he's settled for it. There's no need to... there we go.
Well, he takes the victory. Kevin Clark, the winner of the first part of the Max Power 100, and that will please the crew and the team. They will now make their way into the paddock area where they'll be receiving, in fact, Dave Law there and Damien Bradburn ready to receive their man already in. And now the fan here is to get the thing cool, but they've got a lot of work to do during this break. So Barry Lee also comes in to receive the attention of his team. Let's hear, though, from Kevin Clark, the race leader.
It's nice to be at the front because obviously you haven't got all the mess to contend with coming off the other cars, you know, the rain and mud and whatever gets on the track. But yeah, it's going well. I'm really pleased.
Chris Dawkins was big in the mirrors, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. He was coming and having a look a few times. Had me quite worried a few times, but Chris is a sensible driver, and I know we won't both go off, so it makes for a good race anyway.
How easy would it be to overtake? Is there more than one line there?
There is an outside line, but obviously I think you're going to have to be brave to get out there. The trouble is you're using like half the inside line and half the outside line at the moment, so you know, you want to try and get through the wet patches to conserve your tyres, but you just have to use what's there. You know, you can't always tell where it's going to go and where it's going to slide, so it's nice to keep a bit back in reserve. If you've got a bit of a slide on, it's nice to have another half a car width on the outside, so I think he'd be a brave man to have a go around the outside.
Yeah, we was getting a bit of grip, sort of like 10 laps in. We found our way into the race, and we was getting a nice bit of grip, and it was going well. I was glad to get past that bunch, you know, and make a bit of a break for it. But I mean, there was no way I was going to catch Chris and Kevin because they were gone off the front. So they're going to bunch us up now. So we've put a bit of fuel in, and we're going to try and do the business in this next bit.
Pete, how are you?
Fine, apart from a little bit fed up, you know. Could have finished the race, it would have been a lot happier, you know.
What exactly happened?
Well, I came out of Gerrards, and as I came out of Gerrards on the lap before, it got a little bit sideways, and I lost pace off the corner, and that allowed Alf Borer to get up the inside of me. It gave me a little bit of a sort of a gentle nudge as I was trying to keep him tight coming into the corner, which allowed them both to sort of slip by as I was out in the wet line. Then as we were going back down the straight, back into Gerrards, they were both squabbling with one another. So I knew I was capable of having another go on the outside, and as I pulled to the outside line, the car just aquaplaned on the wet and just went straight on. There was nothing I could do, it was just a passenger at that point.
I wasn't lapped by Kevin, but I don't know how, well, mind you, it doesn't matter how far they're in front, we're all closed up now, but I just can't seem to get the traction, and I've just got to get my head round it now.
Conditions are still changeable, it's anyone's guess.
Horrible. The problem is it's not big enough for wipers, and mine stopped anyway, and it's got this fine mist when you're in the spray of the other cars. So you're diving out, and you just can't really see too good.
Peter, the problems in that race?
No, I'm not very good in rain, and it's a fine line between staying on track and going off, and there's two parts to this race, and I just thought, well, just try and fetch it home, and if anybody wants to go around me, they can do. And just got to do your best you can in these conditions, haven't you?
Well, as ever, a philosophical Peter Faulding. Kevin Clark, as you can see, and Barry Lee, both of the work that needed to be done on their cars has been effective, and so they will now go back out to start the formation lap. The hooter sounding there to confirm the end of the lap. Now, can this man, Buzz Dawkins, do anything about Kevin Clark? Let's hear from his dad and crew chief.
Chris not quite able to get the better of Kevin before. Can he do it now after the pit stops?
I think now his windscreen wiper's working, yes. It stopped very early on in the race and was intermittent, then stopped completely. So he caught Kevin and then it stopped, so he caught Kevin again and then it stopped. So this time, hopefully, we found it was a wire off, so hopefully everything should be fine.
What did he tell you about conditions out there?
Very slippery. He wasn't happy with the settings, so we've adjusted the settings accordingly. And so hopefully it should be a good run. He should be able to have Kevin, I would think.
Well, a confident sounding Graham Dawkins there. As you can see, the pace car out already, leading them round on the formation lap. Join us for the race after the break. 100, and there is Kevin Clark. He will start from the front alongside me, former Eurocar V8 racer Tony Gale. And Tony, we heard from the guys in the break there that conditions really are not that ideal.
No, they don't like them. It's neither one nor the other now, Paul. You know, it's stopped raining. There's still a lot of spray about in certain parts of the track, and there's drying out on other parts where it makes it very, very greasy.
Well, here we go for the restart. They start in single file. Well, it's supposed to be that. Barry Lee's having a look round the outside. But here goes the start. It's Buzz Dawkins' opportunity to get through, and he's not done it. So Kevin Clark will lead them out of turn 1 and into turn 2, and round the outside there goes Mark Willis. He's found the grip again, and Willis trying to go round the outside and take the two of them as they come out of turn 2 onto the backstretch, and he might have done Dawkins. Certainly Kevin Clark has held the lead. There is Mark Miller flashing through in one of 3 Team Brass cars, but towards them they come, 3 abreast, a brilliant sight down the backstretch. Rooster tails and spray being thrown up by these magnificent machines, and again Willis looking for the grip round the outside. He's made it through into second. Brilliant start by Mark Willis, what he said he was going to do.
Absolutely. It never ceases to amaze me how he's able to do that and get the grip out of the car, especially in these conditions.
Well, they said they've made changes to Chris Dawkins' car. I suspect that they might have done the same to Mark Willis. Certainly the Willis Motorsport crew know what they're about in setting up this car, particularly for this track. Then they've found their difficulties on the tighter circuits that the Eurocar V8s visit during the year. But here we go. We've got a great 3-way battle now for the lead. Remember, 32 laps in this part as well. The points have already been allocated for the first part, but here is Kevin Clark being hunted down now by Mark Willis. Willis, in turn, being hunted down by Mike Schmidt, and look who's there in 4th place, the veteran Barry Lee.
No, he's always going to be there. He's always going to be there. I'm just wondering whether Chris Dawkins was just setting himself into the new adjustments that you heard his father mention. So So Mark's got to be careful. Here he comes now.
Yeah, Willis there on the outside, it's Dawkins on the inside, and well, Mark Willis will stay out there, you mark my words. To be fair, Chris Dawkins gives him room as well. It's a double down the backstretch, they're side by side, Willis on the outside, and Dawkins, has he snuck on through there? He certainly seemed to have more straight line speed down the backstretch, and he's through. Well, Willis, well, he's not giving up, is he? He's going to try and, I think Chris Dawkins realises that Mark Willis has got an outside line there, and he can find the traction, and so Dawkins held the middle line through Gerrards, which is no mean achievement in itself.
No, not at all. And I think that, you know, Mark was perhaps been a little bit too ambitious there for a while. You can't, with Chris Dawkins still behind you, you can't leave too many gaps, even in these conditions.
Well, there is Dawkins using all of the track as he comes out of turn 2. Again, down the backstretch they go. Mike Schmidt there in 5th place, but it's Clark, Dawkins, then Mark Willis, then Barry Lee. There is Mike Schmidt, he's back in 5th place. And again, Mike surprised everybody. He made his Eurocar V8 debut last year here on the Mallory Mile circuit, and really did impress everybody by his car control and how quickly he got to grips with setting up the car as well.
Oh, he was straight into it. I mean, I was out there with Mike last week. He came into the very last Mallory, and I couldn't believe how quickly he'd settled into the car. But then he's driven Formula 3000s and, you know, a number of cars, but I didn't expect him to pick up on these so quickly.
Yeah, I think he's actually more suited to the V8 formula than he was with the V6s. I think he found the V6s a bit more aggressive and a bit more fender bending, and certainly didn't suit his style of driving, which is fairly smooth, although at times he can be equally aggressive when need be.
Yeah, well, you know, most of the guys that were involved all come through the V6s or from other formula as well, and I feel that all these guys give each other a little bit more respect than perhaps you'll get in other formulas.
Yeah, certainly they give each other more room. We heard Kevin Clark say at the beginning that of this race, of this part, as Mark Willis goes through in 3rd, that Kevin Clark felt that, oh, what a big sideways moment there for Chris Dawkins. Oh, he held it on, but it's going to surely cost him a place. Mark Willis sees the opportunity. Well, are those settings working for Dawkins, I wonder?
Well, I don't know. You're on the ragged edge, and I think he's just getting a little bit frustrated the way that Kevin is absolutely just storming away with this.
Yeah, he really is storming away. Blue flags again there waving to allow Mike Schmidt to come around the outside of Warren Kent. Warren, who has really not found these conditions to his liking, and he's been fair to everybody. He's kept right out the way. Clark leads then. Willis now back up into 2nd. There is Buzz Dawkins, Chris Dawkins in 3rd place, and he's now got a bit of work to do to try and find his way past Mark Willis. I suspect, Tony, that Mark Willis will stay on the outside lane, exactly what he's doing, and he's going to lose the place to Dawkins. Do you think he knows that Dawkins is quicker down the backstretch?
I think that there's going to be a tremendous battle here between these two, which of course is, in its own way, is letting Kevin get away.
There's nothing at all between them. You couldn't get the proverbial ciggy paper through there between the two of them. Well, Willis loses the position to a fighting Buzz Dawkins, and I'm sure you're right. I suspect that frustration will start to tell as the race unfolds. About 25 laps remaining, remember, and that would be a normal race distance for these guys, and surely the physical nature of driving a car in these conditions is going to be a strain too.
Oh, it is. They're very, very physical cars to drive anyway. I mean, if you're not absolutely soaked when you get out, it's raining, if you're not soaked with sweat, then I don't think you've been working hard enough.
No, we've seen drivers being pulled from cars. Well, here is the likeable Peter Faulding, the man who won the V6 Championship in 1998, and like all the previous V6 champions, has made the move up to V8 racing, as getting support from the Hodgson Motorsport team. Stevie Hodgson, of course, as Barry Lee loses a place there. Mike Schmidt siding up the inside of him, so Schmitty up to 4. And again, Dawkins there a little bit on the ragged edge, as Tony Gale said. And talking about Hodgson Motorsport, Stevie Hodgson's outfit, well, Stevie working very hard on his NASCAR deal at the moment, which is making good progress, we hear, for the 2000 season. But Faulding really played himself in, and it's great that every year we've seen the V6 champion move up.
Yeah, I think hopefully next year you might see the likes of Steve Dance and Mark Proctor, and you know, that calibre of guys moving up into the V8s, because that's what's needed.
And a big moment down at the turn 1. There's been a huge accident down at turn 1. Mike Schmidt has gone straight on at turn 1, and that's going to dispatch the safety car. The safety car already on the track. Well, it's slightly out of our view, but I can tell you, no surprise to see the black and yellow quarter flags. In fact, red flag. Well, it's as a concerning moment. Mike Schmidt has gone straight on and cleared a tyre barrier here at Mallory Park, and the cars will be brought back round onto the grid. and there's all sorts of incident vehicles, rescue vehicles down at turn 1, very quickly on the scene. Well, you can see there, Mike Schmidt's car, the number 5 car there, cleared that Armco in the background, and let's hear from Peter Hughes, who's with some of the drivers on the grid.
Half you behind Mike Schmidt that instant. What did you see of it?
Well, basically, I mean, he was running on up the outside, and he was really cranking on. I mean, he was trying to wind the pace up, and basically, I don't know if he just missed his braking point, but he didn't. The speed didn't seem to come off, and he just what I saw of it was the best way to explain it really was like a Eddie Kidd bike jump. You know, that I just saw the thing going up. By that time, I'd missed my braking point, and I thought I was in trouble for a minute. But yeah, I mean, I literally saw it going in and just go skywards, and then I had to get back to look where I was doing. But I don't know whether he just missed the turning point, and with these conditions, whether he just couldn't then get it back, or whether. But he seemed to be going a fair old pace. So I'm not sure whether his throttle's stuck open or not.
But it's one thing to stay on Kevin's tail, another to get ahead of him.
Yeah, every time I keep catch up with him, you know, there's a lot of grip on the outside, and I think I'll keep going around, but I can't get. He's faster around Gerrards than me, and I can't get the drive out the right corner to do it. We've come very close, but it's just a question of basically hoping he makes a mistake, and see how we go.
Well, there is Dave Law, and there is his man. Kevin Clark continues to lead the Max Power 100. Chris Dawkins behind him, and there is Mike Schmidt. I can tell you Mike Schmidt has walked away from that incident despite the damage to his car. Well, ready for the restart then. The Union flag is dropped, and now can Chris Dawkins get the break he needs? Mark Willis looks to try and go around the outside. They all flash underneath the gantry here, and a reduced field, of course, with that incident. There goes Dawkins round the outside. It's perhaps his only opportunity to get past Kevin Clark. Clark holds on the inside of turn 2. Oh, Dawkins nearly made it work.
Well, he knew that was probably going to be his only chance, Paul, because Kevin's just driving such a clean, tidy race that he knows, and he just, by his own admission, said that he can't get the drive off the corner.
That's right. Well, that's what he's going to try and do now as they come out of turn 4. There is Barry Lee up to 3rd place. Well, great drive over the entire duration of this long race from Barry Lee. Now, having worked his way through the field up to 3rd, he's got past Mark Willis. And, of course, those two are battling it out for 2nd in the championship with just 85 points, separating Barry Lee in 2nd place in the championship and Mark Willis in 3rd place in the championship. So very important for Barry Lee to keep his title hopes alive if he can stay in contact with this battle up front. But at the moment, there's a bit of bumping and boring going on there. A little bit of a nudge from Chris Dawkins on Kevin Clark through turns 1 and 2. And again into turn 3, here they come. Just into the closing stages now of this 64-lap race. And Dawkins needs to really get on it, and I suspect take a few risks.
Well, he's just trying to think of something to do about Kevin, you know. Kevin's come across him there.
He will be riled by that, will Chris Dawkins?
Well, I expect Kevin's had a few little taps, and, you know, he's going to have none of it. They're two great fighters, these guys. Great fighters.
Fighters is the word. I think they are absolutely on their day. They both know how to race hard and play hard ball when it needs to. Again, a little bit of a nudge there from Dawkins, but you're right, Tony. Kevin Clark moved across there on Chris Dawkins, and that will get the old blood boiling in Chris Dawkins' car. We know how fiery he can be. Clark is as bad as well. They're both as bad as each other. Now, Dawkins has backed off there, and perhaps just regathering his resources and getting himself together for another attack on the race leader, Kevin Clark.
Yeah, I think what he's doing is, as he said, that he's slower through Gerrards than Kevin is, and as you can see, he gathers that gap back up by the time he gets down to turn 1.
Well, news from the medical centre about the marshals involved in that incident at turn 1 with Mike Schmidt, that one is being taken to hospital for further observation, but the others are just okay, apart from a few cuts and grazes. So that is miraculous news, particularly with the huge impact that was there down at turn 1. The marshals in British Motorsport do a fantastic job, and we wish them well on their recovery. So here is Kevin Clark to complete another lap. Buzz Dawkins still behind him, then Barry Lee, and behind Barry Lee, Mark Willis, Al Fora, and in 6th place, Peter Folding. Great scrap between these two, though, Tony.
After the first stage, you know, I thought Kevin's really got, but, you know, Chris Dawkins is really giving him a hard time out there.
He's pushing him very hard indeed, isn't he? There is Peter Folding, and Folding, by his own admission, not the quickest in the wet. He'll look forward to a drier race, won't we all, I think, after conditions here today. But at the moment, Kevin Clark leading Buzz Dawkins as they come off turn 4. They'll start the final lap this time. Buzz Dawkins, it's going to be the final roll of the dice for him. Underneath the bridge they go. There's been a black and white flag shown, incidentally, for one of those two drivers. We're not quite sure which one it was, but that's supposed to be unsportsmanlike driving. Well, we'll make our minds up about that later, but the final roll of the dice, Tony, for Buzz Dawkins.
Well, if he's going to do it, he's got to do it now through Gerrards, but I just can't see it. Kevin has kept it so neat and tidy that, you know, a very, very good race.
Well, here goes Dawkins. Oh, I thought he was going to go around the outside there. He looked with the foreshortening of the angle there that Buzz Dawkins had got on the outside. A little dab on the brakes there. Is he going to try and crank it up coming off the final corner? I don't think he can do it, Tony. I think you're absolutely right. Kevin Clark is on his way to a victory in the Max Power 100. The checkered flag shown to the number 4 car. Buzz Dawkins pushed him hard all the way. Barry Lee takes 3rd place.